Okay,
Okay, you got me okay? You can see me, can you?
Yeah, have you got us? You can hear us?
Absolutely. No
Fantastic.
problem.
John Brewster, thanks for joining us today. Honestly, it's such an honor to speak with you. You're the co-founder of a band who's been so successful and you've been in the music scene for 50 years.
50, I mean, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
I'll just quickly introduce us, John. I'm Erica, and I'm here with my sister, Angela. And
Hello, Erica,
hi.
Angela.
Hi. We both work for Sheldon Ang Media in Perth. We live in Freo, actually. But yeah, as I mentioned just then, as before we start, we just really wanted to express our gratitude to you because it's not every day that we get to talk to such a legend like you. Sit
Well,
down.
thank you. That's very kind.
Yeah. So, but John, you know, Angels 2024, that's amazing. 50 years. You're still producing music, you're still touring. You've got a new album out, 99,
Mm, yeah.
and you've got your 50 Not Out tour. And you're going to have a big party to celebrate that fantastic milestone. So
Yeah.
anyone who'd be watching this would be aware of your legacy. Your band's been running that long. You've had top 10 albums. You've had 17 top 40 singles. And John, I was watching some of your other interviews, and you mentioned you had an old Holden EH station wagon with
Yes.
your first gig. And we had an old EH as well, so we know exactly what that is.
Wow. How great were they? I mean, wow.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, wouldn't you love one now? And you were actually supporting Cheech and Chong in Adelaide, so you've come so
Well, it was our first gig.
yeah.
Our
Wow.
first gig.
Oh,
We used to be a jug. We used to be a jug band called Moonshine Jug and String Band, and we did really well in Adelaide. We never really did it to be anything other than a fun thing to do while we were at university, studying at university. And I was doing filmmaking and drama uh, and as it turned out, Doc Neeson also did filmmaking drama at the same university, but we were in different years. So we met up when he joined the Jug Band, and Moonshine Jug and String Band had this huge following. We used to play on a Tuesday night at the Modbury Hotel, which is way out of Adelaide. The reason being way out of Adelaide is I stopped in every pub on my northeast road to see if any pub would want us, so they all told me to go away, and till I got to Modbury. And it just so happened it worked. We played a Tuesday night. We had 400 people in the room every night. So I'm basically giving you that as a background to the whole thing. It was fantastic fun.
Yeah.
And I wrote a song called Keep You on the Move, which we recorded as the Jug Band. But it was a rock song. And the Jug Band, a lot of the stuff we were doing was like from the 1920s. So we had this kind of big hit with it in Adelaide only. And I say to people, I think it's because Mum bought most of the records. But anyway, so what it showed us.
Yeah. So it's been a long journey since those days in the old EH, at Cheech and Chong, and you've had such a remarkable journey over that time. We've been with you for part of that, not directly, but indirectly.
All of it.
We've been fans for a long time, and in fact, we've got a little bit of memorabilia for you here, John. If you can see that, it is.
Yeah, 96 FM, the Cirque. What venue is that? The Circle.
Perth Entertainment Centre. Perth
yeah.
Centre, Friday the 8th of January 1982.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, My God, you know, I do remember. I mean, Perth has always been a very special place for us to visit. We love it. It's a great town. We used to play we still play the Charles, which we love.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And of course, on this particular tour, we're playing the Astor Theatre, which is sensational, and Freo Social.
Yep.
But what was that place we used to play? It was.
I saw you at the old Melbourne Hotel. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah, about 1983 or 4.
Yeah.
I was right next to the speakers, and
Yeah. I think I loved hearing that night.
It was fabulous.
Always great memories. Perth has always great memories.
Oh, thank you. Well, Perth.
But that you know, like in 1974, of course, we're now, as you know, 50 years of the band, and so you can't help but do a bit of reflecting. You know, It's like look back on those days and look back on those first 4 years before the band sort of hit the big time, and driving around Australia in the old station wagon with a bass speaker on the roof, so it was top heavy, and retread tyres because we couldn't afford real ones.
Yeah.
And so you did tend to look back on all that and look back on those days when Doc Neeson was, I think, at the most, amazing, from around the end of 77 through to maybe the mid 1980s. I think there wasn't, maybe you could say that Doc Neeson was right up. There's one of the greatest frontmen in the world.
Yeah.
So those are great memories. There are obviously some bad memories too, because Doc succumbed to addictions and stuff. It was very sad, but it's all in the movie that we just made recently called Kicking Down the Door.
I saw that.
But of course, we love Doc, and we love the memories of Doc and those wonderful days when the band first took off. It was like huge, just huge. I mean, it was a whole cutting edge.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that in my opinion, it's for what it's worth, I think the band has hit the cutting edge again.
Absolutely.
We've got 2 of my sons in the band. They're amazing.
Yes.
Sam and Tom, they just play great. They're not there because they're my sons. It's a bit of a bonus, actually, although Tom's a bit nasty. Tom's a bit hard work because he says, "Oh, Dad, what are you eating that for?" And I go, I think it's okay because I've had a couple of health issues, But anyway, I mean, get back to the music. Those guys played just brilliantly. My brother, of course, has always been brilliant. He's an amazing guitar player. I'm the rhythm guitar player, and I say to people, Rick's really good. Yeah, he's really good. But it's all about the rhythm guitar, which is bullshit. But anyway.
You love being a rhythm guitarist. I've heard you talk about how you just love that, that being able to just sit back and have your sound and your instruments, your specific guitars, and But
I love it. I mean, for me, rhythm guitar was all about playing guitar and singing a song.
Yeah.
Again, I grew up, major influence in my life was Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan still to this day is, an incredibly huge part of my life. And so I taught myself to play the guitar, and I would go to parties and I'd sing Bob Dylan songs rather than Beatles and Rolling Stones songs. I'd sing Dylan songs. I mean, I love the Beatles and I love Rolling Stones. And of course, I was lucky to grow up as a teenager in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say that I'm about to be 75 and I don't care anymore. I think to get into my mid-70s, still playing in a rock band is pretty sensational.
Absolutely. And John,
I've got to say I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, John. Angela saw you at the Red Hot Summer Tour a few years ago.
Rotto.
And I saw you recently at Freo Prison at the beginning of the year with Susie Quattro and Cheap Trick, and you guys, just at the top of your game. I was fortunate to be photographer that night, and I went into
Yeah.
the crowd when you guys were playing. It was electric, honestly. And people were stopping me and saying, "This is amazing," and people wanted photos with you guys playing behind. It was just the energy and the involvement from the other generations was just so powerful. John, how do you feel when you're on stage and you see that? You see all of the generations all together there having their own
mums and dads,
yeah,
with their kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel when
Well, I'm really happy to say that the feeling that I have is quite unbelievable. It's to be still doing this at my advanced years in life, and having had a couple of pretty major health issues, I didn't play in the band for the first few months of this year because I had a big heart attack, and I got lucky. They saved my life here, in Cowder Bay, Victor Harbour, South Australia, and the boys. I'm just so proud to tell you that the boys. And those, when I say the boys, I'm talking about the other four guys. I'm talking about my brother Rick, who's amazing, and my son Sam and Tom, and then Nick Norton, of course, who's now become our front singer. Yeah. They went into the studio and they finished off some tracks and also recorded some new tracks of stuff that we've been recording over the last few years. Got sort of interrupted by COVID, but I got to say, I'm just so proud to say that those guys have really completed an album that I think is one of the best albums we've ever made. Yeah. The new album, 99, it's great. It's so fantastic. I did my guitar parts in hotel rooms on the Red Hot Summer Tour. I hadn't been in the studio, so I'm there with headphones on, playing the parts and hoping that they're okay. And the last one I did, I was in the backstage tent at the last Red Hot Summer Show in Adelaide, and I had over here was chocolate starfish. Over here were all the people in the dressing room like yapping at the top of their voices, and then there was the track there, and I'm there with this. I bought this new guitar. It's a Gibson ES, Les Paul, and I bought it because it's brilliant, but also it's a bit lighter because it's a semi-acoustic guitar. So I'm sitting there playing that, and with all this noise around me, and I said to Ricky Ray, who's mixed our album, and by the way, Ricky is just amazing. I said, "There it is. I hope it's all right." I said I can hardly hear it. Anyway, it turned out great. So,
yeah.
I'm just so proud of the rest of the guys in the band. I still play hopefully an important role, but what they did to complete that album, I think, is just incredible. And I listen to that now and I go, wow, this is a benchmark album for the Angels. All these years later, we've had that trilogy of Face to Face, No Exit, Darkroom, which are pretty amazing, I think. And I look back on all of that, and with great pride. And I think this album is right up there with them.
Yep, I agree. We've had a listen, John, and it's sensational, and the variety as well.
That's what you were commenting on.
The ballad, and I actually really love the cover as well. As a photographer, it's a fantastic photo, and I know that Nick loves his Rick loves his phone boxes, and it's just got that.
Oh man.
It's just got that Angels urbany, dark kind of mystery about it. It's fantastic. And
it does. You should have seen them when he had him in his backyard. He had, I think, nine phone boxes in his backyard when he was living in Sydney at Ashfield, and he had every one of them was lit up, and he had store mannequins beautifully dressed, fur coats on the phone, with a light above, and you walk out there at night time and you went, my God, this is really weird. This is weird. But Rick had a photograph of those phone boxes on a T-shirt, and he walked into the dressing room at one of the Red Hot Summer shows, and I just went, that's the album cover right there.
Fantastic.
So, and everyone went, yeah. So
It's
because I mean, the Watch the Red album cover, for example, is a photograph that Rick took when we were in America.
Yeah.
To the Streets, another one of Rick's classic photographs. Rick is actually quite clever, that guy.
It's a good brother to have then.
Don't tell him I said that.
Brother to have. But you, John, you studied drama and filmmaking, and your brother studied science. Was it chemistry?
Agricultural science.
Agricultural science. Yeah. And he's dressing up the phone boxes.
He's whatever Rick has done through his life, I can speak for him, I guess, and say this, he's done to the nth degree till he becomes really brilliant at it. It's like classical piano. He won the Eisteddfod in the under-21 section of the Eisteddfod in the 1960s at the age of 16.
Wow.
He was brilliant, and I think he was probably heading for a career as a concert pianist, like our grandfather.
Yes.
Because our grandfather was a concert pianist. And I ruined his life because I was a rock and roller. I was the black sheep of the family. I got him into my side of the fence.
You led him astray, John, but we're glad that you did.
Yeah, thank heavens.
Yes, thank heavens.
Yeah.
Right. What a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Well, you can look back on all that and go, no regrets. There are things things I wish hadn't happened. Like, I think the band leaving Albert's at the end of 1979. Yeah, really exciting signing up with Epic Records in America, and they were great, and we were the best agency in the world with the William Morris agency, but we left Albert's, and Albert's was a family. It was a family that had ACDC, great friends of ours, and we used to hang out together, swap instruments, have jam sessions, and I think, wow, my God, how lucky we were. To have that experience with those people, Bon Scott and Angus and Malcolm and Phil Rudd and Mark Evans, etc. And so to be with Albert's, we were with Harry Banner and George Young, the greatest producers I think that probably Australia's ever had. To be with FIFA Riccobono, who is the A&R person and wonderful, and John Paul Young, and Rose Tattoo, and Ted Mulry, to be in that family, and I think of it as a family. And I think one of the great tragedies of our career is that we were convinced by, or not convinced, but we were kind of talked into leaving them. It was a management decision that I think probably the manager would say was a bad decision too, because it was. It's a bad. We would have been playing with ACDC all around the country, around the world, I should say. But we had a successful career overseas. Just got harder and harder.
Yeah. John, I saw that one of your years, I think it was 1980, you played something like 66 gigs and something across 4 different countries. Or you were so productive, you were so busy, you were playing so many live acts, and most years in these 50 years, you as a band, you've been so productive with your albums and also all your concerts. And as fans, I mean, we're so grateful for that. And we're so grateful that you've now got new music as well. And it's just a wonderful thing for us as much as
look,
we're really enjoying it.
It's a wonderful thing for me too. It's I've had a big scare last September, and I'm just so proud to to be in this band. It's a band with such a history, we've had such a ride. I mean, it's been, there's been some twists and turns and curves and whatever, ups and downs. So, sure, like any band, it's a weird business to be in. I don't see it as a business. I see it as a passion. I love what I do, and I love, the people I'm doing it with.
Yeah, that's quite.
And that goes beyond the band, by the way. There's other people involved in this, like Tony Grace, our age, and Dean McLaughlin at Mushroom, and so many wonderful people. Paul Costello, just so many, and Dwight Wood, who sets up our gear every time we do a show. He puts all our stuff on the stage, and he's a guitar luthier, like second to none. He's just amazing. All of these people in the band and around the band make the whole experience something very, very special.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we rock. We rock. I love
it. That's so evident. John, we're mindful of your time. It's just wonderful to chat with you like this. And you've covered covered all our questions. You've given us so much information, and we were heading in all of those areas. And
thank you.
I guess one question I did want to cover, if that's okay, was getting back to the 1980s era here. I was saying we were saying to our kids, we don't remember the famous chant of "No Way." We can't even say it. Clutching at my pearls. So we were saying we don't remember that at the concert. 1982, was it around? I heard you talking about you may have first heard it about 1983 or mid-80s at Mount Eliza. Is that correct? In Victoria?
Mount Isa.
Mount Isa. Oh.
Well, see, the thing is that Am I Ever Going to See Your Face Again is, look, it's a good song. It was our first single, but it was not a successful single. And we put out, that. We put out You're a Lady Now. We put out Coming Down on Me, which Coming Down on Me, by the way, has become one of our biggest songs. But nothing worked in terms of radio and so when we did the Face to Face album, the whole thing went through the roof. I mean, like a rocket ship taken off. The whole thing happened right across the country, where the band just became huge. And we kind of still played Am I Going to See Your Face Again for a while, and then we went, we don't need that song anymore. It's like our first single wasn't big, so we didn't do it for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. So we played Mount Isa, and they kept calling for more at the end of the show. And we'd never played there before, and it's an isolated community. So we sort of started running out of songs. So one of us suggested, let's play Face again. We hadn't played it for about 3 years. So we did it, and 3,500 people in the town hall chanted No Way, etc. And
then it just
kind of blew us away. We just said, well, what the hell was that about? and me being the expert, I said, that's probably just something that happens here in Mount Isa because it's an isolated community. Let's put the song in the show. So we put the song in the show. We worked all the way down the East Coast. We went across to Perth, where you are, and we went into Adelaide. We went to Melbourne, went to Sydney, Brisbane was in there somewhere. Everywhere we played, they did that chant. And I think it's really quite remarkable. And I mean, it's not related to the song in a sense, but I think it's just great lyric and Australian sense of humour.
Yep.
I love it. And I mean, God, if we didn't do that song now, I think they'd probably lynch us. But
be a revolution.
Yeah.
I think the walls would come down and mantle. Sorry, John.
I think the remarkable thing about that is that this happened in the early 1980s. There were no mobile phones, no internet.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, back in those days, if we wanted to call home and say hello to our wives and stuff, we'd queue up in phone boxes.
Yeah.
So how did that spread around the country? I don't know. I have no idea. There's people with theories. I just don't know. I just know the first time we heard it.
We've got it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's just,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. That's fantastic.
And I see that behind you, you've got the no exit cover.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you that is, if anything, it's as great an album as Face to Face, maybe even greater. And that period for us was quite remarkable. Never So Live, is it? Is that Never So Live?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Fashion and fame.
And you know what? On that album there, Chris Bailey sings a song that the late and great Chris Bailey. When I say Chris Bailey, people think, oh, the Saints, but no, Chris Bailey, who was our bass player.
Yeah.
And he used to be the lead singer of a band called Headband, and they were fantastic. And so I used to say to people, well, Chris has got the best voice in the band. Because he did it. And there's a song there called, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, there's a song Chris Bailey sings.
There's only 4 on here. Yeah. Fashion and
fame.
You put something on there. About you. And then the side B.
Bad Dream and
Angel. Talk about that.
Bad Dream.
Bad Dream.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Chris Bailey singing.
Fantastic.
And, you know, we lost Chris Bailey in 2013 very tragically, but that's why Sam's in the band, my son Sam, because he came in to fill in for Chris when Chris was sick. And, you know, Chris didn't make it, so Sam's still there, and now Sam's running the show. He's the tour manager now. He's brilliant. He's taken all the pressure off me. I'm just having a great time. Mid-70s, having a ball. Yeah.
John, we can certainly tell you're having a great time.
Yeah,
that's just coming through. It comes through on stage, comes through your music, it comes through your audiences, and we just love it, and we love to love it too. And so mindful of your time. So we'll have to wrap it up. But we're looking forward to seeing you, John, here in Freo.
Yeah, very excited.
On the 26th, and then you're playing next night at the Astor, as you mentioned. So anyone watching this can get tickets through theangels.com.au, and we'll put the link in the bio as well. John,
great, lovely, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
It's been great chatting to you, John.
Yeah,
all
fantastic.
the best.
Thanks, John.
Lovely.
We'll see you in Freo.
Come and say hello. You know, at the show. Yeah.
We'll bring our tickets.
We love that.
We'll bring the tickets.
That's right.
The memorabilia. We've covered it in clear contact.
Yeah, that's right.
So special.
It's laminated.
Lovely. Great.
Thank you, John.
Thanks so much, John.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.